So I'm going to give you a little history first. So I gave my heart to Jesus approximately 20 years ago. I've been at this church the whole time. At that time, I volunteered for everything. Thank you. We built floats. I cleaned up Sunday school. I cleaned up the church at the theater. I did any ministry that I could at that time. During this time, we had about 8 to 10 couples that pretty much ran the church. We did everything together from all those things. And we did church stuff, family stuff. We went to Chicago for dinners. We did Bible studies, missionary trip to Africa. And I was even blessed to build this church with them. So we were very a tight-knit family. These families were my friends. But then problems arose, and families left due to various reasons. At that time, I pulled out of a lot of the things that I was doing. So I wasn't doing ministry. I was doing kids' church because it gave me a place to hide. But I wasn't doing anything else at that time. And I stayed by myself. I wasn't talking to people. When I came into church, I just kind of went where I needed to go. And I even pulled back from my wife, where I wasn't even telling my wife my feelings anymore. We weren't really even talking. It was safe. I didn't have to talk to anybody. I didn't have to spill my guts. I didn't have to hear anything. I just stayed away. A year ago, I heard about Men's Encounter, and I heard about it. It went in one ear, out the other. I thought it was just another conference, and I was like, yeah, I don't need to go. Everything is good. My family is good. My kids are good. My job's good. Everything is fine. Why do I need to go to another seminar to hear something? This year, I heard it again, and there was something different this year. And I went home, and I just told my wife, hey, there's this Men's Encounter thing coming up in 2 weeks. Not sure if I want to go, but whatever, and I just let it go. A few days later, my wife, without me knowing, was texting one of the guys and said, yeah, by the way, I signed you up, you're going. And it was like, well, wait a minute, whoa, I didn't say I wanted to go, I just wanted to, what about work, what about you guys, what about being, this, that, and another. I had more excuses than I could, but she gave me that look, and it was like, okay, I'm done. So during the week before we left on a Friday, I tried 2 or 3 more times to get out of it. Honey, are you sure? Listen, I got to work. I can't take off work, busy season. What about the kids? To no avail. I ended up going. I met here Friday morning. We got in the van, and we took off. I sat in the van all the way in the back. It was the tightest seat I've ever had in my life for 8 hours. And I didn't talk to hardly anybody. I just sat there. I wasn't going to open up to anybody. Those little discussions here and there, but nothing major. When we got when we got there, we met in an auditorium, and there was thousands of guys there, and it was very uncomfortable for me. Guys were praying with each other, talking to each other, hugging each other. And it was just, that's not me. It was like, so I sat in the bleachers, kind of talked to another guy a little bit, and then we got 2 buses to head over to the camp. And unfortunately, I had to sit next to 2 guys that I never met before, and they wanted all the questions. They kept asking me and talking. So we were talking, but man, it was so uncomfortable. Never met them before, but they asked a whole bunch of stuff. We got to the camp, went right in. We had worship that night. And I told myself, I was like, I'm going to stay right here at my chair. But it was like an 80s concert. Everybody rushed to the stage, and I was like, what is going on here? But I stayed there, and I was like, yeah, I don't need it. And I was looking around at all the guys, and I thought to myself, yeah, these guys, man, there's a lot of guys that need some help. God's going to do some great things with them. The next worship came on after the next session, and I kind of got caught up into the crowd and pushed up into it. And I really wasn't sure what was going on, but I ended up in the front, and worship happened. God moved. It was incredible to hear 1,000 guys sing. It was awesome. And God broke something inside me. I raised my hands. I was jumping up and down. My voice stinks, but I was singing. It was fantastic. I've never felt anything like that before. Yes, at church, I checked all the boxes of worshiping, raised my hand, But this wasn't checking the box. This was something deeper. I didn't care who was sitting next to me or standing next to me. It was a guy with tattoos. It was an old guy. There was a guy in a wheelchair. It didn't matter. Everybody was doing the same thing for the same purpose. The first session, or one of the sessions, was about forgiveness. And I went up to seek prayer when it was time for ministry because I'm not the most compassionate person with my wife. So I went up there to seek prayer for that. And I prayed, but then God said, "You're not done yet." I was getting ready to leave, and he says, "Oh, no, you're not done yet." He says, "You need to forgive your parents from 48 years ago from getting a divorce. You've been holding that for 48 years. I was blown away. I was like, what do you mean? I didn't even think it was down in there. I fell to my knees. I was crying, and someone was praying over me. Then God said to forgive myself and quit looking into the past. I didn't realize, I wasn't expecting any of this at all. But it opened me up to talk to some of the guys. I started to feel that freedom of, you know what, it's okay. I opened up. When I got home, I had that Monday off, and my kids went to school, so my wife and I had the whole day, and I probably burnt her ears out. I didn't stop talking the whole time, and I was talking to her about everything that I could even imagine. It was awesome. After another session, I was standing there. I didn't go up for prayer that time, but then I had a guy come up to me out of nowhere, put his hands on me and said, "Hey, brother, let me pray for you." Uncomfortable, yes. Awesome, yes. And then we talked for about 20 minutes afterwards. This was totally out of my comfort zone. This is not me. Every session was worship, approximately 14 sessions. I worshiped in front every time. Except towards the end, more people went up. I couldn't get all the way to the front. I was stuck into the aisles. But it was awesome to see all those guys go up in front and worship. God spoke to me about a lot of things, about being more compassionate, not only to my wife and my kids, but also my coworkers. And just to not live in the past. But one last thing that really blew me away, and I never even thought about it, was I've been married for 25 years. 23 years ago, I lost my wedding ring and never bought another one. Well, I should say my wife bought another one. I lost that one too. So 23 years, I've never worn a ring. My excuse was that I'm in construction. It always gets in the way. But there was a speaker that said something about wedding rings. And my heart ached, and I went up for prayer, and the sadness I felt for my wife was so heavy. I never thought how it made her feel that I never had the symbol with me all the time. When I came home, I told Trish that, I wanted to buy a ring, and she broke down. Got a ring. This weekend taught me a lot of things. It taught me that though my mind said I was okay, everything was good, my heart wasn't. I checked a lot of boxes all through the years of being here at church and doing the things that I needed to do, even with my kids and my wife, but they were just boxes. I thought at one point that I gave God my cares and worries, but again, that was just a box that I did. But only God can change me. And God is doing a work in me. My attitude has changed. I'm a lot lighter. I'm not carrying a lot of extra baggage that I was. There's a freedom to speak. There's a freedom to worship. There's a freedom to talk to people that I haven't had for a long, long time. This weekend was uncomfortable, away from my family, no phone service. I thought I was good at the time. I didn't need to go, and I thought I was too old to go to an encounter, and it was just another conference, and it wasn't for me, but I was wrong. I needed to get out of my comfort zone. I needed to be vulnerable for God, not for people, but for God to move. But God, it's never too late for God. Thank you.